All right, I think it's a good time to start. We're at about 100, hopefully still growing. Hello, everybody. Good evening. Welcome to our very first virtual IB Information Night. Typically, we have this night that starts in the gym, and it's an evening that our leadership students plan, and we do this for a while. We plan this evening, and it's really an evening to show all of our parents in the district and the parents that are interested outside the district exactly what Ike Middle School is about. In the past, we've started in the gym. We've had ballroom dance usually start us off, or the band, or the drum line, or something spectacular like that. Obviously, this year is very, very different, but we still wanted to make sure that we got the information out to you. IB night is really about the kids. So we will do our best tonight to, not only did we invite our ASB, our leadership kids here for the first few minutes, but hopefully you'll get a chance to see in our virtual Ike tour, our kids really on display, because that's really what makes this school so special. So just a quick little agenda tonight. We'll introduce ourselves because we've got a very hardworking panel in front of you. So we'll introduce ourselves. We'll go to the tour so you can kind of get an idea of what Ike looks like. We'll give you some more information about exactly what we do at school. And we'll have some time to answer some questions. So we will, in the chat, if he hasn't done it already, Mr. Chandler is going to put a document there for you to house your personal questions. So we understand that some of you will have personal questions about your own student. So if that's the case, then go ahead and fill out that document with your contact information, and we will be sure to contact you. I'll probably send all those responses tomorrow morning. And if you have a general question just about the school and programs, those things, then we'll answer those with the whole audience tonight. Okay, so we'll go ahead and start introducing ourselves. I am Darren Brown. I'm the principal of Ike Middle School. Christina?
Hi, Christina Allison, one of the assistant principals.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Richard Chandler, and I'm assistant principal at Ike.
Hi, everyone. I'm Lisa Schreider. I'm the IB coordinator, and I'm also a teacher at Ike.
Okay, so those are and of course we have Christine who's here, and she's interpreting for us. So wonderful sign language interpreter. So she'll be here for the night for our students and families that need that. Before I go to the video, I want to once again acknowledge our incredible leadership kids. So many of them are here on our Zoom. I asked them today if they could just Zoom in quickly. I told them I'd ask them a question that we would look at later. But I just want to acknowledge them because they're really the heartbeat of the school. They're an amazing group of kids that in a normal year would be incredibly busy planning all the events that make Ike really special. And this is really a night about them. They would coordinate this. They'd have flags all over the place. They would escort you guys through the school. And I think it was just appropriate for us to celebrate them tonight, because they really couldn't do what they do so well, which is organize events and coordinate things. So thank you to the ASB class at Ike, first period, for being here. I told them I would ask them one question. So the question I'm gonna ask them, and we have 7th and 8th graders here, is what is your favorite class that you've taken at Ike? So if you're an 8th grader, you've had almost 3 years at Ike, 7th grader, almost 2 years. What has been your favorite class that you've taken at Ike Middle School? So go ahead and populate the chat, and then we'll move on to our our own virtual tour. Ms. Allison?
You ready? Ready for the video? All right.
Hi, everybody. Mr. Brown here, proud principal of Ike Middle School. You decided to take a tour with us today. Fantastic choice. This year in 2021, we will be celebrating our 57th 8th grade class at Ike Middle School. So as you can see from the outside, nothing special, nothing spectacular. Looks like a normal middle school grades 6 through 8. However, the magic is really on the inside. Ike Middle School is a little geographically challenged. We actually have 2 campuses with us. The campus that we're entering right now is the 7th and 8th grade site primarily. At any given time, about 2/3 of our school will be in these areas here taking classes. Our other side, which we call the E-Wing, primarily holds 6th graders. Now, one of the biggest things that you'll see when you come to Ike Middle School is the fact that we are an IB school. And what that means for us is a couple things. One is that every single student in our school will take a world language for 3 years, either Spanish, hola, or French, bonjour. They'll also get the opportunity to take amazing visual and performing arts. One of our incredible programs is our woodworking program, taught by John Augustinelli. Mr. Augustinelli came to us a few years ago and brought with us his incredible expertise of the industry, as well as his experience teaching in junior colleges. So the woodworking classes are not just, making your own picture frame or things that maybe you've done in the past. It's completely revolutionized what we do here at school. These kids are now taking woodworking, engineering, robotics, electricity, cabinetry, anything that you can think of. Let's go take a look.
I'm gonna do a quick demo on this. Both hands on the chisel. Right now there's a massive demand for students with technical skills. Our school concentrates in the construction pathway, but really what we're trying to do is get kids interested in the joy of making. Yeah, check if there's a little wider one. There should be.
We're learning how to use machines and how to be safe with things.
1/2 inch.
We're building things using measurements, math, and mixing technology.
In anything that gets manufactured or built, there's an engineering component to it. We need to cut it just like 1/4 inch longer than what you need for your box.
As you can see, there's a lot of work that gets done in that class by some pretty amazing kids. Another one of our programs is our art program. And as you can see at our school, we have art everywhere that you can turn, including right behind me. So let's go take a look at the art program, headed by our own Ms. Schreider, and see what they're up to today. Let's go see.
You can't do faces.
Don't take a video of mine. Mine's
Oh no. Secret.
I need a steel block. Is this a block? This is a permanent here.
As we continue our journey on the main side of campus, I hear something, which could only mean one thing, that Miss Aldridge, our amazing music teacher, has her band students, perhaps even choir, busy at work. Our music program, which is something that we're very, very proud of, has a plethora of classes. They have beginning band, intermediate band, advanced band, choir, and guitar. These kids are amazingly talented, and we're so, so lucky to have someone like Miss Aldridge leading the way. Let's see what they're doing. As we walk down this area in the main side, there are English classes to my left, math and English classes to my right, science classes down the hallway. And it makes me think of quite a few things. One is our poetry night that our English department houses with our art department, where we have our advanced 8th grade English students writing original poems and then giving them to our advanced art students, who then make something completely original based on their interpretation of the poetry. It also makes me think of our Math Olympiad club that we have on campus, as well as our new Science Olympiad club, all basically run by our incredible teachers. So this wing here, which is primarily science, math, and English classes, there's a lot going on at all times. So we've made the trek over to the E-wing, where primarily our 6th grade students will take their classes. Now, however, this is also the area where some of our most important and popular programs are housed. One such program is our ballroom dance program, headed by the award-winning Mr. Larson. Now, our advanced ballroom class has 34 students, 17 boys and 17 girls. We also have 2 intermediate ballroom dance classes and a couple other dance classes that we have on the wheel for our 6th graders. I think I hear them performing, so let's go take a look. Our 6th grade side, our E-wing, was at one point in time the home of Sierra Gardens Elementary School. I imagine some of you actually went to school. It was several years ago where we took over Sierra Gardens Elementary School and then brought the 6th grade campus to Ike Middle School. We used to be a 7th and 8th grade school for a long time, but about 8 or 9 years ago, we took over and made this school a 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. One of the first things that we did when we did that is we brought on a CommTech program. Things like coding and video game making and our own YouTube channel. It's just some amazing things that these kids can do with computers.
We can't be happy underground.
Learn to code and explore on Scratch and Code.org.
I got this pain in my heart, that's all. Hey you, with the
Animate and implement transitions in Google Slides.
gotta be something else. Let me tell you something else. There was a girl that passed me by. She gave a smile, but I was shy and I looked down. So
Use GarageBand to record music and podcasts.
underground, and now there's a place to go.
Create some cool digital art using GIMP.
It's everything.
In SketchUp, you can model in 3D, and with Blender, you can animate.
As mentioned before, we've been an IB World School at Ike since 2016. We're actually up for reaccreditation in just a few months. One of the things that we're really proud of is our world language program. We've always had Spanish on campus, but we bought French on campus a couple years ago. So now students can take either Spanish 1, 2, and 3 or French 1, 2, and 3. For our heritage speakers in Spanish, we also right now have 2 heritage speaking classes. I like popping into the French class every now and then because they always seem to greet me with enthusiasm every time I walk in. Let's go see. The E-Wing is really important. We understand that that transition from 5th grade to 6th grade for students and parents can be a little anxious. Kids can be a little bit nervous. So because of that, their schedule that they'll have in 6th grade will consist of only 5 teachers for the year instead of 7 that our 7th and 8th graders have. We understand that they're used to being in one classroom for the entire time. But the 6th graders, the transition for them to Ike, we make as seamless as possible. They'll eat lunch on the E-Wing all by themselves, all with other 6th graders. And the classes that they'll take, English and social science, will be with one teacher. Math and science will be with one teacher. Everyone will take PE, everyone will take a world language, and everyone will choose 3 classes on the wheel. So that concludes our virtual tour today. I hope everybody got a chance to actually see what we're all about. Being at Ike Middle School is an absolute honor. This is my 4th year here at Ike, and I couldn't imagine a better place. The amazing students that we have every single year that we're able to bring in between 275 and 300 kids from 14 different schools in the area, not just our 4 feeder schools, but for the surrounding areas, mostly because of our IB program. It's what makes us really special and what makes our program special. And our teachers love the fact that we get kids from all over the place. So we hope that you enjoy the little tour. Hopefully we can do this in person soon. As always, if you have any questions, my door is open. And thanks so much for being a part of Ike.
Okay, so I don't know about the other panel members, but I get a little nostalgic. I mean, I've seen that video, a couple of times, obviously, because I had to edit it, and I probably made 1,000 mistakes along the way. But you get a little nostalgic when you see 900 kids in a rally, when you see our ballroom dance teachers, you see how close our art students are together, and they were, I think they were actually getting ready for poetry night when I walked in there. You miss that a lot. I mean, we love the fact that we have students on campus since November 4th, 5 days a week for 5 hours a day. We're so grateful because we know that a lot of the districts don't have that right. Enjoy the little tour. I really miss the normalcy. And so I get a little nostalgic, and I want that to happen soon, because that's really what Ike is about. So hopefully you enjoyed that tour. In the tour, we talked a little bit about the schedule. So this is essentially what a 6th grade schedule will look like for your student. So they could potentially have English and social science the first 2 periods. There is an advanced option for those classes. Math and science could potentially be 3rd and 4th. Again, the English and social science would be with one teacher, and the math and science would be with one teacher. PE could potentially be, for example, 5th period. That's with another teacher. So we have 3 teachers and 5 periods. The world language will be up to the 6th graders. So it could be French 1, Spanish 1, heritage speaking, as well as an option. And then the 7th is really the wheel class. And that's where you could potentially have woodwork or drama or art or ballroom dance or comtech or music. I tell people when I give tours in person that the best thing about Ike and the worst thing about Ike is the same thing. The best thing is we have so many choices. And the worst thing is we have so many choices. And it's hard for those kids that come to us with, you know, they have this great sort of artistic background, but they really want to dance, but they also want to be maybe a leader on campus and run for president like Tanishta. But it's hard to choose just one thing when they get to 7th and 8th grade. A sample 7th grade schedule would look, you know, similar to that. It would be, for example, it could be English 1st period, 2nd period could be social science. Again, advanced options for both of those classes. 3rd period could be math 7 or an accelerated option for those students that qualify for it. Science 7 could be, for example, 4th period PE. Again, everybody takes PE all 3 years. The world language could be, again, heritage speaking class, Spanish 2, French 2, again, these are for our 7th graders. And then we want them to decide on a year-long class. So it could be in their 7th grade year, they take intermediate ballroom or intermediate comtech. You guys saw the videos for that. It could be advanced art. The great thing that Ms. Schreider does, because she uses IB units, is even if a student takes advanced art in 7th grade, he or she can take advanced art again in 8th grade and have completely different projects and units. So it could be a class that you do take for 2 years and have have completely different experience. You could take yearbook, because Ms. Schreider is humble. She didn't talk to you about the fact that she also does yearbook out of all the other things that she does. It could be advanced woodshop or engineering or robotics, leadership, advanced drama, band, choir, guitar. I mean, you get lost in all of the different choices that we're offering to kids, but we want to expose them to as much as possible. The next slide goes over a little bit of our extracurricular part. We do have sports on campus. So we have for 6th graders, we do have the option for them to do cross country, to do track, to wrestle, to dance. So those are some options for 7th and 8th graders too, but also for our 6th graders. We don't allow 6th graders to do flag football and basketball and volleyball right away, simply because we want them to really focus on the academic part of Ike and really experience that part of it first before they get thrown into all the other things. But we do allow them to do cross country, track, wrestling, and dance. And the 7th and 8th graders have all of those options, plus flag football, girls and boys basketball, and girls and boys volleyball. So lots of sports. Again, we're trying to give you an idea of what a normal year would look like. We don't have sports this year, but our hope, obviously, and our expectation is that all of this come back to Ike next year. And then the last slide for the extracurricular is really about our clubs that we have on campus. So we have culture building clubs, we have academic clubs, so we have the math and science, which I mentioned. We have a wonderful Destination Imagination program that comes to Ike, and we typically have 6 or 7 teams that populate that program. Some of them go to the Globals on Tennessee when they get that far. We have a STEM Expo Club, and I know Ms. Ponsetti's on here, so woot woot to Ms. Ponsetti. We also have a bunch of other culture building clubs here, like an Allies Club, Project Lit Book Club, Gamer Club, a Mindfulness Club, a running club, and a writing club. So lots of opportunities for your student to not only take those challenging classes in school, but also those opportunities outside of school as well. And the last slide is really about connecting with us. So those of you who are from our feeder schools, and I want to give a shout out to those Stone Ridge parents, those Sargent parents, our Crestmont parents, and our new school, Kirby. Those 4 feeder schools that I mentioned in the video, we have 14 different schools that brought kids to our campus last year. So obviously our feeder schools are the majority of our students, but we also have kids who come to us from outside the school district, or they're in the school district, but their boundaries are for the other 3 middle schools. But they choose Ike for lots of different reasons, primarily for IB, but for lots of different reasons. So I want to welcome all of you from those feeder schools and let you know that, we do, update our Facebook and Twitter pages as much as we can. We want to celebrate your kids, and we love doing that. So there's the Facebook page, the RCSD Ike Facebook page. So after this, go ahead and follow that, and you can make sure to sort of follow all the things that are going on at Ike even this year. We do have a Twitter page, and then the administrators, myself, Miss Allison, and Mr. Chandler, we all have Twitter pages as well. I will tell you that I don't tweet as much as I update our Facebook page. So I'm not as good tweeting, as current tweeting as I am with our Facebook, but Ms. Schreider and I make sure that Facebook page is populated all the time because it's our favorite thing to do is celebrate our kids. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna sort of turn it over to our other panel members and kind of let you know what they do on campus and sort of their expertise, and how we keep busy and all the things that they do for our kids. And then after that, I know there's been some questions in the chat. If you do have some questions, go ahead and populate that. And then again, if there's a personal question, then Mr. Chandler has populated a form for you. And we're happy to answer those questions on the personal level. I'll get back to you on the next day on that. But I wanted to make sure that our panel members talk about what they do all the time as well, what they do. So Miss Allison?
Yes, thank you. So again, I'm Christina Allison, one of the assistant principals. And Mr. Chandler and I work very close together to provide a safe and a family environment on our campus. We really pride ourselves in that Ike is a family, and that your students here are going to be, we want them involved. We want them to feel like they are part of our community. So we are an award-winning PBIS school. If you don't know what that is, it's the positive behavior interventions. We started this year a digital, we call them cat paw cash, like the tickets, you probably had in elementary school. We started a digital one this year, which with working with leadership, we've got digital, they can cash in their awards and buy things from the student store all digitally now, which is really great. They don't have to save actual physical tickets anymore. That's been a big hit this year, especially with, not having, trying to limit the physical touching of things this year. I work with the PBIS team, and we try to really build culture at this school, just community, and having fun events. Right now, it's a huge challenge, but leadership has been so amazing with helping us. I think we've got a scavenger hunt, it's just taking pictures, can't touch anything, coming up in February. In a normal year, we did dodgeball tournaments at lunchtime. Every Friday we do a spirit day of some sort, whether it's wear your Ike gear on Friday, or I think this week it's black and white day on coming up. But we do try to build, again, community. We want every kid at Ike to feel welcome and to feel part of a community. So we just feel like that connectiveness is going to help them not only academically, but but social emotional is incredibly important to us. Passing it over to Mr. Chandler, who's going to tag team that.
Thank you. Yes. Following on from that, we know we have so many wonderful advanced classes and programs that really are fantastic. And I hope, and thank you for everyone for joining us. And I hope you feel the passion from us as a leadership team about what we do. We also know that students might struggle. It's middle school, so there might be ways in which your student needs extra support. So we have a fantastic counseling team. We have a school counselor and a school social worker, Mrs. Walter and Mrs. Murray, who work to help the social emotional impact of middle school and everything that's going on in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. So we have a fantastic counseling department that do clubs at lunchtimes and are very, very involved and available for students to reach out to. We also know that academically we have our advanced classes and our regular classes and such a wide range of things to choose from. We also have some support classes that we're proud of to help boost our students academically if they're needing help. We have daily intervention classes, support classes for study skills and reading, as well as math in 6th and 7th grade. We also have, so that's every day, so that will be in a student's schedule if they need it, as well as a weekly intervention period where students who are needing extra support in either math or reading can gain extra support once a week. If it's just help on a certain quiz or just areas that need to be addressed or students are struggling in. Students not requiring that Thursday session of support get to pick, I almost feel like I need to say, wait, but there's more. They get to pick from a wide range of different enrichments for that one afternoon. We've had where our teachers get creative, and we've had in the past crochet, women's self-defense, lots of technology, lots of arts, lots of different cultural enrichments that, again, run once weekly and are there to really engage students to be motivated and give them a wide range of different skills from our school. So we're proud of everything that we can offer. I'm lucky to have worn the teacher lens at Ike, and now as an administrator at Ike, and hopefully one day as a parent. And it really is one of those places, one of the schools where you want your kids to go. So thank you everyone for joining us. And I'm going to pass it over to Mrs. Schreider.
Okay, hi everyone, I'm Ms. Schreider. I am the IB coordinator, but I'm also in the classroom. If you're a 6th grader on here, you will definitely have a 50% chance of having me in art, whatever wheel you get into. So I teach the beginning art class for 6th grade. I also teach obviously the advanced art and yearbook and just a lot of different things. I'm involved in a lot of things at Ike, and I will tell you, I have been at Ike for, hard to admit, 22 years. 22 years. I actually was at Ike when Sierra Gardens was still there, and I taught my first 2 years at Sierra Gardens in 6th grade. So it's been interesting to see this whole transition. So IB, why IB? Well, we decided to go IB a while ago because number one, we were declining enrollment on this side of the freeway, but then also our population just naturally fit for IB. We've always had such nice kids, real high academic achievement. We've always had kids who love to learn and care about their grades. That has been consistent well even before IB. So when we decided to go by IB, it was a natural fit, and it's been a big transition. So we started in 2016. That's when we first got our accreditation. And this year in May, we actually have our reauthorization coming out. So it's been a 1.5 year process for us to go through this whole thing. So we're kind of excited to be reauthorized and definitely for IB to see how much we've grown. So a couple things, I know they showed you a typical day. You have 7 classes overall, but actually you have 8 courses. So besides your core of the math and the language arts, the ones you're used to, we've definitely hit on the visual and performing arts, which is the heart and soul, I will say, of Ike. Kids really find an amazing home in the visual and performing arts. And the reason why is all of our kids perform some way or another, and they really take pride. So because of that, you're going to see your students coming out with this maturity. They like to be in front of the camera. They like to do things and be out there. We've had so many news reporters come out and talk to us, and our kids just gravitate towards it. It's pretty amazing. And that's all just because they've been in the spotlight for so long. So definitely visual performing arts and our world language, but there's one other one. It's called design. So design is embedded into your history and your science classes. And it's a great way for you to try out things, do some research, build some things, see if it works, and then revamp it. So examples of design units in 6th grade, you guys do the penguin houses for doing some stuff with heat and cooling. And then you also, in 7th grade, you build earthquake-proof houses or solar ovens that actually work. And then in 8th grade, you have roller coasters and egg drops and so many fun things that we work collaboratively on for the design. So that's a really great thing. I will say that obviously having it at Ike, what is it about? IB is, we teach things through thematic-based units. Everyone in Ike is in the IB program. It is different than the high school. At the high school, IB is more like a school within a school, right? They get there and then they can choose to go AP, IB, a little bit of both. You know, there's all sorts of ways that they can go. But at middle school level, everyone is involved in IB, which is kind of nice because it creates this entire, just this IB aura over the whole entire school, which is amazing. So we do a lot of that stuff through, and we'll get into this more with learner profiles, which help focus every month on different traits that help kids be great, well-rounded learners. Maybe 1 month is communicator, 1 month is inquirer, 1 month is being reflective or caring. So all 10 of those traits, we focus on them every single year, and it really helps ground kids and make them into well-rounded learners. The other thing is the IB program is an international focus. So it takes your kids out of their little small lens of Roseville and takes them out into the real world. We're really looking at how do we focus? How do we fit as a global citizen? And what do we do that works well past just Roseville? And really, we've kind of seen it all come to light this year, being in this global pandemic, right? It's been amazing because it's actually putting everything that we've always kind of taught and really hitting home for the kids this year with that global part. Trying to think what else I really want to. Oh, and the best part, I think, is that what we're finding out from the high school, Jolie's on here, she's our IB coordinator at the high school, is that our kids are very prepared when they get to high school. They are able to enter into Spanish programs in high school, sometimes in Spanish 3, sometimes even in Spanish 4, and even get a biliterate seal once they get to high school, which is amazing. They're prepared to take whatever classes they need to take, whether they choose to go the IB route in high school or AP classes, or even just regular ed or the health academy. Our kids have the foundational skills they need to be successful as they keep going up through their schooling. So I think that's what I want to hit with you guys. I really am a firm believer of the IB program because I see it in action. I see our kids, randomly you'll overhear them speaking Spanish, you know? It's just kind of cool how IB permeates everything on our campus. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Lisa.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so hopefully what you're getting is and anytime you come on campus physically, it's easy to see the enthusiasm and excitement that all of our staff has. It's a school that we all believe in, and I know that it sounds normal because you work here, but I think right now we have 14 different staff members that have their own children attending Ike, including my own. So I have my own, my youngest son, my 8th grader, who has been at Ike for 3 years, and, you know, fortunate because he got a chance to experience what Ike was like truly in 6th grade. And he got, you know, 3/4 of a year last year sort of experiencing what Ike was like. And, you know, I feel badly for those 8th graders last year who didn't get a chance to be a part of promotion that they were looking forward to. And then we're not sure what that's going to look like next year, but I feel very grateful that at least my son got a chance to experience what Ike was like for, you know, a little bit more than half the time. So those incoming kids, we're hoping that's the way it is for 3 years, that you get that chance to really, really experience it because it's a special place. I mean, I know we've said that a lot, but it's a really, really special place. This is not like any other middle school that's out there. So we're going to, at this point, I think Rich has been, Mr. Chandler's been monitoring the questions. So if you want to go ahead and shoot, Mr. Chandler, and actually, if we can, I want to read what those incredible students said about their favorite class. Can we look at that first?
Yeah, you may have to scroll up in the chat. They were all a little bit biased because they're all from leadership.
They all said that beginning art in 6th grade was their most influential class. I had all 3 of them.
So it says here, let's see, my favorite class at Ike has been student government, but that's from Tanisha. She's a little bit biased. She runs the school, so there you go. Student government. Danielle Pittman wrote, I enjoyed every class that I've taken here at Ike. We have the most wonderful, oh boy, Danielle, you're amazing. We have the most wonderful teachers, and they all make class interesting and fun. Each teacher adds their own flair. If I had to choose, it would be student government. So we have student government kids here, so I'm assuming we're going to get a little bias on that. Lots of, student government, leadership, same thing. Yeah, so lots of leadership kids. Of course, they're in leadership class, so I wouldn't expect anything else than that. Okay, so what do we have as far as questions, Mr. Chandler?
We have one main question, seems to be a common one, is how do I sign up to these VAPA classes?
It's a great question. So I'll answer it a couple ways. One is, if you are from one of our feeder schools and you live in this area, then that's great. You're coming to Ike next year for sure. And at that point, as we get closer to the end of the school year, you'll have your forms to be filled out for next year. So I was very, very lucky to visit the feeder schools last week. And I told the kids the same thing and try to get them excited about the classes, that they'll have a choice of sort of a block of classes to take for next year. And you just check the box you want, and then they'll give you a couple other options as well, because obviously our classes are very, very popular. So because of the popularity of it, not every student can take, art if they want to, or ballroom dance if they want to. So so we kind of asked you to take, have your first choice, second choice, and so forth. The question I get more than anything from kids is, can I take the same class for all 3 trimesters in the wheel? The answer is no. And I'm glad the answer is no, because my son, for example, when he was in 6th grade, he took ComTech, ballroom dance, and woodwork. And he loved all 3 of them. And he didn't think he would like ballroom dance as much as he did. It was not a surprise or a shock to me, simply because of our program and our incredible teacher and Mr. Larson. But it's something that he wouldn't have taken otherwise. So we really want to challenge your kids. We want them to take classes that are maybe outside their comfort zone. I mentioned that we have 34 advanced ballroom students, around 17 boys. I asked that class, out of the 17 boys, how many of you knew in 6th grade that you're going to be an advanced ballroom dance student? Not many of them knew. So they tried the class and they fell in love with the class. So we want them to take classes that are maybe not their favorites, and certainly we don't want them to take the same beginning class all 3 years. If you are outside the school district, it's a pretty simple process. You need to get in touch with your district office where you're from. If you're from like San Juan, for example, you would request leave from the district and a transfer to another district. So it's an inter-district transfer from your home district to our district. And once they release you, then when you work with our district, you can choose Ike as the school you want your child to attend. If you're in the school district and not necessarily in our geography areas, then you can choose what's called an intra-district transfer. So you would, go through the district again, and you would transfer from a middle school that you should be going to because of where you live, and then transferring to Ike. So there are the processes along the way, and that's how you choose your classes.
So can I add to that just for a second, Darren? So the way our wheel are set up in 6th grade is that it's a mixture of a visual and a performing arts class. So that's one of the IB requirements, is that every child will be involved in at least one visual and at least one performing arts class in the 3 years that they're here. So on the wheel, I saw a question, if you take the wheel in 6th grade, can you get into band in 7th and 8th? The way our wheel class is set up for the music section is one section in beginning band is more focused on choir with Mrs. Aldridge, and the other one is more focused on beginning band. And then you would go into an intermediate or advanced band for the other 2 years. So yes, you do kind of go with that. Okay.
What else you have, Mr. Chandler?
Questions about start times, end times, and I know that is a little bit different this year.
So our normal start and end time, and when I say normal, last year, pre-March 13th, was a start time of 9:05 and an end time of 1:53 on Monday and 3:14 on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So that's our normal start time and end time. This year it's a little bit different. So we start at 8:40 and end at 1:40 this year. So kids are in school 5 hours for 5 days. So we're hoping that we go back to a normal schedule that has the kids coming at 9:05, and then, like I said, 4 days a week, they'll end at 3:14. Okay. What
There's
else?
a good question on here that I want to hit because I'm a VAPA teacher. So if you are new to Ike and you're a 7th and an 8th grader possibly coming in and being in this presentation, that is possible. We have this every year. When we do our signups and you have to fill out your paperwork, if you want to get into one of the year-long classes, you are going to need to fill out the paperwork for those classes. So let's say you're an artist. We do an application basis for our advanced classes. So you would need to get that in so that we can make sure that we consider you as part of that also. That's a great question for any of the classes, whether it's ballroom or ComTech. So
Yeah.
we'll have all that information for you with our registration packets.
And that's happened in band. So if you have a child that is incredible with the trumpet, has been playing the trumpet for 6 years, you can request to take either beginning or intermediate band, for example, rather than the wheel class. So that's happened as well. Mr. Chandler, what else do we have?
Will there be science camp for 6th graders next year?
Hope.
Keep your fingers crossed, everybody.
Good question. You know, we always hope. Science camp is something we had on campus for, I don't know how many years, Lisa, but several years. I mean, it was a couple years before I arrived. This is my 4th year at Ike. We had it I think last year was the last year that we had it. We obviously didn't have it this year. And we hope it does come back. You never know. I asked my 8th grader actually this morning, what is his favorite memory of Ike? And he said science camp. So we know it's something the kids obviously love. And I love going. Great time. You put a banana slug on your nose. You get to go through a zip line, do all kind of crazy things. So it's fun. It's a lot of fun. Okay, what else?
A few, COVID-19 related ones that, we really, don't know the future as far as that goes yet.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, and what I'll say about that is that we've done an exceptional. This is this is a great district. I mean, we've done an incredible job of keeping our kids and our staff safe. It's something that we've worked on since we closed school at 2:40 p.m. on March 13th. We've worked on really hard on making the school safe. All of our students currently wear masks. They all wipe in to their classes 2nd through 7th period. We sanitize in and out of class. We social distance as much as we possibly can. Every single class at our school has a classroom where the seats are at least 4 feet away from one another. So we do an exceptional job, and it's something that's really important to us. And if it turns out that we have to continue doing it, then we'll do whatever we can to make sure your kids are in school. We're hoping that there's some normalcy next year. I mean, I like seeing your kids' faces. It's weird. It's a little bit strange that all of our interactions are with masks, but we do whatever we can right now to make sure that your kids are in school. And we have an incredible team, not only in district but school-wide, that works on that. So I don't know. Obviously, we hope that it's normal when we come back to school in August. But if it's not, then like I said, we'll keep doing what we're doing to make sure that everybody's safe.
There's a.
You're on mute.
Button isn't showing up all red. There's a good question. What happens if the students were not at Ike in 6th grade for language once, for French and Spanish? Do you want to talk about that?
Awesome. Yeah. So we have those kids. We have kids who transfer to Ike in 7th grade. We have kids who transfer to Ike in 8th grade. But the kids, we have some surrounding districts that are K-6, and so they want to spend 6th grade with their school, and so they'll transfer us in 7th grade. So in that case, we really look at the background of the student. So we've had cases in which a kid comes to us in 7th grade after being in a district K-6, and maybe they've had some Spanish. And so if they've had Spanish, we'll get them together with a Spanish teacher, and it's possible that they could start in 7th grade in Spanish too. Same thing for French, although it's a little bit more common for Spanish. But if not, then we'll start them in either Spanish 1, French 1, or a heritage speaking class in 7th grade. So the great thing about that is this: if you think to yourself, oh, we're a little behind, we're always going to be ahead. Even if you take Spanish 1 or French 1 in 8th grade, you're always going to be ahead. We're the only middle school that I can think of that every single student, it's mandatory that they take these classes. And we love that because we want our kids in Spanish 3 and French 3 in 8th grade, or Spanish 2 and French 2 in 8th grade. We want them to go off into high school and take Spanish 2 or 3 or 4 when they go into as freshmen in high school. I mean, imagine that for a second, because I took Spanish in high school, but I had to finish my junior year. So I took Spanish 1, 2, and 3 my junior year. Your kids can basically qualify for UC requirements and state requirements at the end of their freshman year, which, guess what? It gives them more opportunity to take another language if they want, or more electives. I mean, something they really, really want to take in high school. So we love that. So you are not behind. If you start 7th grade and you're in Spanish 1 or French 1 or heritage speaking, and then you get to Spanish 2 or French 2, you're not behind, you're ahead. And we got some great input, or some feedback from our IB coordinator at Oakmont, who said that those kids are going into those classes straight from Ike. And so that's a great thing. So yeah, absolutely. Anything else, Mr. Chandler?
We have quite a lot of specific ones. So for, specific ones for individual students, I'm going to put the form in the chat again. So feel free to, one of us will get back to you if you fill in the form, if it's a specific one.
I'll
bit
look.
of clarification on heritage Spanish. What is that and how do I get in?
We do have a lot of students who will come to us and they're already fluent in Spanish, and they want to work on the writing and reading aspect of it. So in that case, they can take a heritage speaker class. So again, if they're Spanish speakers at home, they don't want to necessarily take, say, French 1. A Spanish 1 class is not going to help them. It's going to be something that they'll look at very easily. We have a heritage speaking class that is filled with kids that have that background in Spanish, and they can really focus on the other aspects of language, and not just the speaking, but the reading and writing especially. So it's a class that we have 2 of those right now, taught by Miss Vaquito. And if we have 3 classes next year, we have 3 classes next year of that. But that's specifically what those classes are designed for. So
the question is, can they take Spanish and French? And that is no.
No, yeah. So you have to choose. Again, it's the good and bad about our schools. So many options, which is tough. But yeah, we have to focus on one. So. And
the reason for that is that IB wants our world language students to become bilingual. So they are looking for kids to be able to take 5 years of a foreign language. So if you're taking 3 at Ike, you would take 2 up at Oakmont or wherever you're going for high school. And then if you wanted to go ahead and like take a French class or whatever other type of world language class, you can do that, but you can only focus on one for us, sorry.
So I'm going to go through some of these quickly because some of them are quick answers. So how does a student who's taken Math 1 class up take math? So we haven't had that happen very often, but when that does happen, they can take a Math 7 class when they get to 6th grade. Then they'll take an integrated Math 1 class when they're in 7th grade, which is essentially what our high-end 8th graders take. And at that point, it's really a relationship that we hopefully have with the school that they'll be choosing in high school, and then kind of go from there. So it has happened before to where a student can take a high school class in 8th grade. So it's one of those things that it is possible.
And remember, it's not just a straight math class. This is IB. So everything is based on units and on solving real world problems through math. So it's yes, they definitely have the foundational skills of everything, but it's really an applied math also.
A couple questions about champions. So if my child had to do champions this year because of COVID, going back to 8th, is there any paperwork that needs to be done for band? No, I would just get in touch with our band teacher, let Miss Aldridge know that you're coming back, and then maybe what instrument that your student plays. It could be guitar, it could be choir, but just let Miss Aldridge know that that's happening. So that's the best way to do that. It looks like a lot of you guys, it looks like you, Rich, and Chris, or Mr. Chandler and Miss Allison have been answering a lot of these questions. Any other questions that have come up? We feed into,
There's one on, does Ike feed into Granite Bay High School?
so so the 97% of our students go to Oakmont. And then depending on where you live, because we're a school that attracts students from all over the area, some of our students come to Ike, but they live in the Granite Bay High School sort of geography area. So they would be a Granite Bay student. It just depends on where you live, because we're getting kids from 14 different schools and elementary schools. They live in different areas all over the place, but primarily our students feed into Oakmont High School. How many kids in the whole school? Yeah, so Mr. Chandler, about 850. So we've been as high as about 940 since I've been here for 4 years. We've dipped a little bit, obviously, with our Champions Academy this year. We have about 153 students currently in Champions. So right now on site, we have a little bit over 700 students that are here. We're going to grow in enrollment as a couple of years go by, because of the fact that we're lucky to have Kirby Elementary joining us next year. So they have roughly 50 to 55 students that join us each year. So in a matter of 3 years, our enrollment, as you just do simple math, will go up 150 more than what it typically is. So we expect to be somewhere in the 900s, if not 1,000 students in a couple of years. And honestly, that's great for us, because the more kids that we have, the better programs that we have, the idea that we can keep all of our programs, which is obviously what we want to do. So the more kids, the better for us. I'm going to answer one parent that says, math teacher, that advanced math options are currently not available. Is that accurate? I'm assuming that you mean 6th grade. So if it's 6th grade, then that is correct. So in 6th grade, every student will take Math 6 and Science 6. So we do our accelerated for math. We start that in 7th grade. So we used to start, I think it was 3 years ago, we started our accelerated group in 6th grade. We looked at the data and really, leaned on the experts and looked at it and thought, 11-year-olds, they really need to, at that point, hone in on the main standards in 6th grade. And really, we can accelerate in 7th grade. So we didn't change the end point. Your kids, whether they start accelerated in 6th or 7th, at Ike, you still end, if you qualify, you still ended integrated math 1 at the end of 8th grade, which is what we used to call algebra, a long time ago. So they still end there. So it's not like, you're losing a year. You still end where you should end, and when it comes to math. How many classes in the whole school are there? Good question, Charlotte. Let's see. I think right now we have 216. So that's about as accurate as I can get. So that's how many sections we have currently, 216.
Those have questions about class sizes.
Yeah, so obviously now our class sizes are smaller, but I think even Ms. Schreider will tell you as a teacher that, you're not walking into English classes and seeing 35 kids and walking into history and seeing 35 kids. And we keep our classes pretty small. I think the average, Ms. Schreider, help me, is about 27 on a normal year. It's as high
In a core class? Yeah, I would say they vary somewhere between 24, 28. Some of the more advanced classes might be a little bit more. But yeah.
Yeah. So
and then in our visual and performing arts, usually most of our advanced classes, like for my advanced art, I only have one class. So I try and pack it. I put between 32 and 34 kids in there, because the more artists we can have, the better. So a lot of our advanced year-long visual performing arts classes are like that. We have more.
Someone wants to know if we have any other languages. Oh my gosh, we would love to, but at some point at Ike, there are so many options. We only had Spanish. This is the 3rd year that we've had French on campus. I think we'll stick with 2 for now, partly because of the fact that, one of the IB requirements is that the world language that we offer on campus has to feed into our feeder schools. So many of our kids go to Oakmont. So because of that, French and Spanish work perfectly, because they go right into the French and Spanish programs at Oakmont. How many students go to Granite Bay High every year on average from Ike? I'm not sure. I'd probably say somewhere between 2 and 5 would be my best guess.
And you know what, just to add to that, a lot of people might come from that area, Granite Bay or whatever, but when they go through our IB program, because Oakmont has such a strong IB program, a lot of kids choose to do a transfer and go there. So we articulate a lot with Oakmont, and our programs are really blending nicely together now.
Absolutely. Please introduce Italian. I would love to, but it's
Me too. I take that.
have so much. Okay. Is that about it, Mr. Chandler?
I think that's it.
Okay. So it's 7:02. I think I told people it would be about an hour, so we're close to it. I can't thank all of you enough. If you have those individual questions, I'm going to look through those probably tonight, and I'll probably start answering those. And if you could put your email on there, I'm happy to email you back individually as well. Hopefully you can start connecting with Ike as soon as possible. So follow us on Facebook and Twitter so that you can see all that we offer. I mean, even today, I think today we had one of our parking lot performances. We have these things to where we can't perform right now. We have a spring and winter concert that we normally offer for all of our music students and our ballroom dance kids. Because they're not able to perform, we have these things called parking lot performances. So we'll perform at the end of the day, and we'll perform in the parking lot for everybody who's waiting for their kids to be picked up. So that's something that we're trying to do. Anything that we can to get these kids out in front and center, because that's really, really important. They lead the way. So I'm glad to see on the chat some kids are so excited to start. We're really, really excited to have you. It was a pleasure, an absolute pleasure to go into their classes last week and see them and meet their great teachers. And hopefully, like if you want a more physical type of tour, maybe we can hopefully work out something to where, obviously it's not something that we can do when kids are in session. Hopefully it's something that we can do, obviously, when kids are out of school, so to get out at 1:40. So thank you.
Oh, can I add one quick thing? Because I see a little excited and nervous. So let me just say, as a 6th, 7th, and 8th grade teacher, my classroom is on the 7th, 8th grade side. Our kids go to both campuses, and our kids are nice. Like our 7th and 8th graders, you guys integrate in nicely to them. So don't be afraid. It'll be okay.
Awesome.
Thank you.
So thank you guys so much. Thank you, Miss Allison. Thank you, Mr. Chandler. Thank you, Miss Schreider, for being here. Thank you, Christine, so much for interpreting for us. We appreciate you, Christine, for being here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Appreciate all of you. Call me anytime, email me anytime. And again, I'll get to those questions as soon as I can. Thanks, everybody. Have a great night.